Hello, everyone. I'm David Mitchell. It's great to see you all again. Over my 30-year career, I've had the privilege of working with thousands of patients, most of them over the age of 50 or 60. Together, we've navigated so many health challenges, from nagging joint pain to serious heart concerns. But today, I want to talk about a topic that I believe gets to the very core of who we are, our brain. Do you remember your earliest memories? The sound of your parents' voices, a vibrant sunset from your front porch, or that first moment you learned to read? All of those are stored right in here. The brain is our treasure trove, the place that holds our life story. So what happens when that treasure trove is suddenly under attack? I want you to imagine this. Think of your brain as a bustling city, the vital highways your blood vessels need to be clear and open to deliver energy to every single corner. A stroke happens when one of those highways suddenly gets blocked or bursts. The entire city is plunged into darkness. The houses your brain cells stop getting oxygen and nutrients, and they start to die. The most heartbreaking part is when this happens to one of my patients. I had a man, a 65-year-old artist, who could create masterpieces with his hands. But after his stroke, that arm became lifeless. All that talent, all those stories, all those feelings seemed to be trapped inside him. A stroke isn't just a senior citizen's issue. It's a reality we all have to face. And I'm here to share how we can protect ourselves, how we can guard the most precious gift we've been given. We'll explore the warning signs, the causes, and most importantly, simple yet effective ways to prevent it. If you like this topic, please type 1 inch in the comments. If you don't, type 0 inches, or let me know what topic you'd like me to cover next. Now let's get started with our first section. 1. Causes of stroke. As we've discussed, our brain is our greatest treasure. But to protect that treasure, we first have to understand the enemy. And that enemy, or a stroke, isn't just one thing, it's actually two different types, each with its own way of attacking. I want you to imagine something again. Picture our circulatory system as a tangled network of irrigation pipes bringing water to every corner of a garden. The first type of stroke, the most common one, is called an ischemic stroke, making up about 87% of all cases. This is like a clump of algae or a small pebble getting stuck, blocking a water pipe. The water blood can't get to the plant's brain cells at the end of the line, and they slowly wilt and die. I had a patient, a 68-year-old man who loved to fish. He told me that when his stroke happened, it felt exactly like his fishing line getting snagged on a rock. Everything went stiff and numb, and he just couldn't lift his arm. This type of stroke often comes from plaque buildup in our arteries, the algae in our pipes that accumulate over the years. And that's exactly why we as seniors are at a higher risk. Life gives us wisdom and experience, but it also leaves its marks on our blood vessels. The second type, which is less common but often more dangerous, is a hemorrhagic stroke. If the first is a blocked pipe, this one is a burst pipe. The pressure inside gets too high, the vessel can't take it, and it ruptures. Blood spills out, not only failing to reach its destination, but also putting crushing pressure on the surrounding brain tissue, causing severe damage. I remember one patient telling me it felt like a pop inside his head, followed by the most excruciating headache he had ever experienced. That's often a sign of a ruptured blood vessel. And typically the main culprit behind this is high blood pressure. That's silent but incredibly dangerous pressure. So the question is, why are we as seniors more susceptible to these two enemies? There are several factors. First is age. Time doesn't just add wrinkles. It also makes our blood vessels less elastic and more rigid. That means they're more likely to get clogged and more prone to bursting. Next are our unwelcome companions, underlying health conditions. High blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, and heart disease. They all create the perfect environment for a stroke to develop. High blood pressure is like constantly overinflating an old tire. Eventually it's going to burst. Diabetes and high cholesterol make our water blood thicker, making it easier for clots to form. One of my patients, a retired professor, once told me, "David, I spent my whole life teaching students the right way to do things, but I forgot to apply them to my own life." He had a terrible diet, smoked almost his entire life, and rarely exercised. An unhealthy lifestyle, things like smoking, heavy, drinking, a diet high in fatty foods, and a lack of physical activity directly damages our circulatory system. A single cigarette doesn't just contain nicotine, It has thousands of toxic chemicals that harm your blood vessels, raise your blood pressure, and reduce the oxygen in your blood. What about a sedentary lifestyle? It's like leaving an expensive car in the garage for a year. The engine will rust and it won't run smoothly anymore. I want you to ask yourself, over the years, how have I treated my body? Have I listened to the small signals it's been sending me? Maybe it's time we take a good look. Don't think these health issues only happen to other people. They can happen to any of us. But here's the good news: most of these risk factors are within our control. Instead of seeing them as a sentence, let's see them as a wake-up call to start taking our health more seriously. And now that we understand the enemy, it's time to learn how to identify it. Because in the fight against stroke, time is brain. We're going to learn the warning signs, the urgent signals our bodies send us so we can act in time. 2. Stroke warning signs. In the last section, we talked about the causes and risk factors for a stroke. I told you that when you're dealing with a stroke, time is brain. Now, I want you to etch that phrase into your mind. Every minute that passes, millions of brain cells die. It's a race against time, and the winner is the person who can spot the warning signs the earliest. So what are those signs? How can we and our loved ones recognize this alarm bell? I've seen too many heartbreaking stories where a family member noticed something was off with their parent, but they dismissed it as just being tired or old age. They hesitated, they delayed, and by the time they got to the hospital, it was too late. I don't want that to happen to any of you. There's a simple life-saving keyword I've taught my patients and their families for years: brain. It's a gentle but powerful reminder. Let's break down each letter. B is for balance. Have you ever been walking on a familiar path and suddenly felt dizzy, losing your balance as if the world were spinning? I had a patient, a 72-year-old woman, who told me she was taking her usual walk in the park when her legs suddenly stopped listening to her. She couldn't keep her balance and almost fell. This isn't just ordinary lightheadedness. If you suddenly feel off balance or have trouble walking in an unusual way, pay attention. R is for eyes. Does your vision suddenly get blurry? Or does it feel like a curtain is being drawn over one or both of your eyes? I want you to remember the story of a patient, a man who loved to read. He was enjoying his favorite novel when the words suddenly became a blur, as if someone had smeared ink over them. He tried rubbing his eyes, thinking he was just tired, but that wasn't it. It was one of the signals his brain was desperately trying to send. A is for arm. This is one of the easiest signs to spot. Does your arm or leg suddenly feel weak, numb, or are you unable to lift it? Try a small test. Raise both of your arms in front of you with your palms up. Hold that position for about 10 seconds. If one of your arms starts to drop on its own, or you can't hold it steady, that could be a red flag. I is for face. This is a sign we can easily observe in others. Do you notice if one side of their face is drooping? When they smile, is the smile lopsided or uneven? I had a patient whose daughter was on the phone with her, and suddenly she noticed her mom's smile looked off, unnatural. That was a sign that her facial muscles were affected. If you see this in a loved one, ask them to smile and check immediately. N is for speech. Does your speech suddenly become slurred, or do you find yourself unable to understand what others are saying? A friend of mine went through this. He was talking to his wife when he suddenly couldn't form a complete sentence. Everything got jumbled as if he were trying to speak a foreign language. This isn't just a normal fumble, it's a sign that the brain has been damaged. My friends, these signs can appear alone or all at once. The most important thing is to act immediately. If you or a senior loved one shows any of these signs, don't hesitate, don't overthink. Call emergency services right away. I know calling an ambulance can feel scary sometimes, but I promise you acting fast can change everything. I've told the story many times about a patient who was rushed to the hospital just in time, and because of that, doctors were able to intervene, and he made an almost full recovery. On the other hand, I've seen people who arrived just a few hours too late, and the consequences were permanent. Time is brain. Remember that. Have you ever witnessed someone experiencing these signs? Or do you have a story about how early recognition of a stroke saved someone's life? Please share your stories in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your experiences. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Together we can create a more informed community so that none of us have to face the devastating consequences of a delay. In the next video, we'll dive deep into the simplest and most effective ways to prevent a stroke. I believe our health is in our hands. 3. Stroke prevention. Over the past few minutes, we've been on a challenging journey together from understanding the causes to recognizing the warning signs of a stroke. Now, I want to end our conversation with a powerful message of hope. One of my patients, a 65-year-old woman named Susan, once told me, "David, I used to think my life was in the hands of fate, but after a minor stroke, I realized I could rewrite that story." And Susan's story has inspired me so much. She proved that a stroke isn't a life sentence. Most cases of stroke are preventable. Isn't that incredible? You know, in my 30 years in this field, I've witnessed a lot of miracles. And those miracles didn't come from some magical medicine. They came from a person's decision to change. It's a shift in mindset, in habits, and in how we treat our own bodies. And here are 3 things I always recommend to my patients. They aren't difficult, but they make a huge difference. First and most importantly, manage underlying health conditions. We at this age often have a few unwelcome companions like high blood pressure, diabetes, or high cholesterol. Don't take them lightly. See them as warning lights on your car's dashboard. If you ignore them, sooner or later, the engine will break down. I once had a 58-year-old male patient who was very stubborn. He told me, "I feel fine, why do I need blood pressure medication?" I had to patiently explain to him that high blood pressure is called the silent killer for a reason. It silently damages blood vessels, setting the stage for a stroke. Luckily, he listened, and today he is healthy and enjoying life with his grandchildren. Second, maintain a healthy lifestyle. I know it sounds cliche, but have you ever thought that taking a 30-minute walk every day is like giving your body a tune-up? Exercise helps your blood flow better, your heart gets stronger, and your brain gets a refresh. Try starting with the smallest things. Maybe it's a walk in the early morning, a gentle yoga session, or simply gardening. And when it comes to diet, you don't have to give up all your favorite foods. Just listen to your body. Eat more fruits and vegetables, limit processed foods, and swap saturated fats for healthy ones. Did you know one of my patients shared that switching to a healthy diet not only helped her lose weight, but also lifted her spirits? She said, "David, I feel like I'm alive again," and finally let go of bad habits. It's not easy. I get it. I've seen people try to quit smoking a dozen times and fail, but I've also seen people succeed. They found their motivation in their grandchildren or in the desire to be healthy and enjoy their senior years. Smoking doesn't just harm your lungs, it's one of the leading causes of stroke. It narrows your blood vessels, raises your blood pressure, and reduces oxygen to your brain. What about alcohol? Little is fine, but if you overdo it, it will also damage your heart and blood vessels. My friends, after 30 years of practice and research, the one thing I'm sure of is this: it is never too late to start. Age is just a number. What matters is how we choose to live. We can choose to live a life of sickness and dependency, or a life that is healthy, free, and full of energy. The choice is in your hands. Did you like this video? Have you ever known anyone who went through this? Or do you have a story about changing your lifestyle to protect your health? Please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. We've been on quite a journey together in today's video, haven't we? From learning about silent enemies like high blood pressure to recognizing the urgent signals our brain sends us. My hope is that what I've shared isn't just knowledge, but a gentle reminder. In my 30 years of work, I've learned one thing for sure: health isn't a given. It's a gift, and it's also a responsibility. Do you remember the story of the artist whose hands once created masterpieces? Sadly, he wasn't able to act in time. But I've also witnessed countless other stories where a father, a mother, a friend, or someone themselves recognized the signs and were able to get back to their lives. My friends, a stroke is not a life sentence. It's not something we have to accept as an inevitable part of aging. By understanding the causes, recognizing the early signs, and most importantly, practicing the simple prevention methods we've talked about, we can absolutely protect ourselves and our loved ones from this dangerous condition. We've spent a lifetime caring for our families and our children. Now is the time to take care of ourselves. Start today, even with the smallest change. Remember, the brain is our most precious treasure. It's where all our memories, stories, and smiles are stored. And it's our duty to protect that treasure. If this video resonated with you even just a little, please leave a comment below and share it with someone you think needs to hear this. because sometimes a small piece of information can save a life. And if you want to keep getting useful tips and inspiring stories about senior health, don't forget to hit that subscribe button right now. Let's build a healthy and energetic community together. Thank you for your time. Please live a healthy, full life and never forget to cherish what you have. I'll see you in the next video.